Hi my angels. I've just had to take my glasses off because I wanted to sit down and share with you all my updated brow routine. And I feel like in the last few videos, all I've had is questions from you guys saying, I love your new brows, like how are you doing them? Give us the full 101 on how you do them. So I'm gonna sit down today and show you guys exactly that. So if you would like to see how I get my brows from this to this, then please keep watching. So first, very quickly, a little bit of a backstory on my brows. I've always had naturally quite like thin brows. Even like before I started doing my brows, they were relatively like quite thin. My mum also has very thin brows as well. And about 5 years ago, I got them microbladed. The last time I had my top up was literally like maybe like 4 months before my wedding. So it's probably almost exactly 5 years ago. And this is what they look like with no product in them whatsoever. So when I wake up, like they're pretty like, I feel like they look pretty like nice and like filled in, but I've kind of like elevated my brow game. So now that we've just got like that out of the way, I'm gonna zoom you guys in so you can see exactly what I'm doing to get my brows really nice and fluffy. Zooming you guys in so you can see exactly what I'm doing. And this is a close-up of my brows. So you can see a little bit of the microblading on my skin, but other than that, this is what they look like up close and personal. And also, side note, my brow hairs themselves are really, really long. So I always thought that the fluffy brow trend would never work on me. But I feel like I found a good mix of products and techniques that really helped me out with this. So the hero product of this all is this guy right here. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Freeze. It basically looks like a gel, and it pretty much is that. It's like a gel for your brows, and I have been loving this. If I don't use like a clean spoolie, then I do feel like my brows get like a bit of like this like weird white kind of like residue on them. But if you use a clean spoolie every single time, I know it's long, you will definitely get like more out of your product, and it will just look better in total. So the first thing I do is I bounce the spoolie into the gel like so, and this really gets the product in there. One thing I would say is less is more. You don't need a lot of this product. I feel like I've got quite a bit on here, but we'll make it work anyways. So the first thing I do is I get this all over my brows, and I kind of like brush it in there so it gets into every nook and cranny like so. Looks messy, but trust the process. Then what I do is I start combing all the hairs in the direction that I want them to be. And if you feel like it's not quite doing what you need it to, use the tip of it to really get the hairs exactly where you want them. And I don't aim for going up, because if I did that, my eyebrow hairs would be literally halfway up my forehead. But I like to angle them where my arch is. I feel like that just gives a really beautiful, natural lift to the brows. So as you can see, I'm going towards my arch, especially for the first half of it. And then for the tail end, I just kind of start getting a shape that I quite like. And like, I like working from like the outside in. So I get the tail end looking how I want it to. I think this I'm really, really happy with. Then all these hairs here, which are like out of place and don't really match, I use the pointy bit of my spoolie and I start pushing these into the shape that I want my brow to look like. And this does come with practice. So the first few times I did this, I felt like I was taking forever to do my brows. But now that I'm getting like way better at it and learning what kind of shape I like for my brows, I feel like I can do this a lot easier. I don't know whether you guys can see, but up here it's almost like my brows form a line, and I don't really like that. So I'll take the top bit of my spoolie and just break that line up very slightly. Side note, I always like doing my brows in a really like close mirror so I can see exactly what's happening, and then I always pull the mirror away to see what my face is looking like. And I feel like I'm pretty happy with the way that this brow is looking so far. So as you can see already, this half of my face looks so lifted just by doing a different brow routine. And this side, maybe not as lifted. But now I'm gonna repeat the same exact thing to the other eye and make sure that's all nicely brow freezed up and set into place with the shape that I want. So as you can see, both of my brows are nicely brow freezed up. And now the next thing I like to do is go in with a eyebrow product to like fill in any gaps and just clean everything up. So for that, I'm taking the Brow Archery from Soap and Glory. This is definitely an oldie but a goodie. I feel like I've used this for so many years. I get the product into my eyebrows. Now, you don't want to go too heavy with this because I feel like I could actually get away with like not putting any product on my brows. However, what I like to do is I just like to go in and thicken up very slightly the areas where I feel like it just needs a little bit of help. And I use like little flicking motions. So I'm not getting too much product on my brows, but enough just to fill in those gaps. And I'm just gonna keep going until I'm happy with like the level of like color on my brows and just how they're overall looking. I just always like to like have a little look like from far away from my mirror and up close to see what it's looking like in all angles. I mean, I don't even know whether you guys can tell, but it's the slightest difference in brow shape. It just looks a little bit more cleaner, if you know what I mean. Now I'm gonna do the exact same thing to this eye as well. And just fill in those little gaps that I have. I feel like this arch at the top here is a little bit lower, so I'm just making extra little flicks to lift it very slightly. Now the next step, I would usually go in and like clean up my brows, but I actually want them to look quite natural, so I'm not gonna like clean up with any foundation or concealer. My tip is, if you do like to do that, then opt for a foundation, because the concealer generally is always a bit thicker and like fuller in coverage, and you want this area to look quite natural. You don't want to look like you've got like too much makeup going on around them. Personally, I don't like too much full coverage anymore unless it's like a very glam occasion. So my tip is, for anyone who does want to clean up their eyebrow area, opt for a foundation rather than a concealer, because it's lighter in coverage and it's going to help melt into the rest of your makeup much better. But one thing I do love doing that I've introduced quite recently into my brow routine is I clean up the area with some micellar water. And this is because sometimes you can have some like sticky residue like on your skin. So when you put foundation on top, it can look a little bit weird. So I'm gonna grab my micellar water, and you can use any micellar water that's your favorite. You don't have to use the same one I'm using, but I am using the CeraVe micellar cleansing water. So I've popped it on my little face halo, and I'm just cleaning up all above and below the brow. And that's gonna get rid of any residue from that brow freeze, so that makeup will apply so much better. Honestly, I didn't used to do this, but it makes a world of a difference if you are putting makeup on top. Sometimes I will just do my brows like this and like wear no makeup because I'm just having one of those days. But today, I'm gonna pop a little bit of makeup on to show you guys the full look. And just like that, my brows are ready. But as I was speaking of makeup, I'm gonna quickly go off camera, finish the rest of my makeup and my hair, and then show you the full look with my brows all together. And this is what it looks like with all my makeup done. And they are still quite like natural. They're a little bit more like bigger and fluffier, but I've been really enjoying doing my brows this way over the last few months. And I'm so glad I got to share my little brow routine with you guys. So all the products and everything I've mentioned will be in the description box below, so please don't forget to check that out. And if I have forgotten anything else, it will be in the description as well. But I think that's everything from me. I'm sending all of the love and the light from my heart to you guys, and I will hopefully see you all in my next video. Bye!